Today on The Edge News, Google answers if site sections can actually impact ranking scores for the entire site. Google political ads policy are going to be restricting ads directly after the election. And we're going to be talking about Google Analytics 4, Google's vision for the future of analytics. Digital Marketing News Roundup today on The Edge.
From the Edge of the Web studios, here's what we're looking at this week.
All right, so welcome back to the Site Strategic Digital Marketing News Desk of Edge of the Web Radio. This is the bonus news podcast and video for Edge of the Web Radio, episode 364. 364, I think it is. 374. Did I say? Oh my gosh, I actually just went forward a decade, didn't I? 374. Thank you very much, Jacob. And I'm your host, Aaron Sparks, owner of Site Strategics. Joining me this week to get her take on the digital news is Kristina Azarenko, founder of Marketing Syrup. Kristina, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. And I'm really surprised that I'm on 374 fourth podcast. That's a lot.
We've been doing that for quite a while.
Yeah, for a couple of weeks, I guess.
A couple of weeks. Yeah, we got started around the beginning of October. Anyway, yeah, we've been doing this for about 9 years, soon to be 10 years in February of 2021. So, have you worked out what that episode is going to be? No, nothing whatsoever. No. He's just shaking his head. He doesn't want to even weigh in on that.
No, I have no idea what episode number that'll be. Over 400.
That's a safe bet.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. Well,
No.
Depending on how we're recording now.
Yeah, we'll see.
We're probably going to be doubling up on this.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. So just for our listeners, we are actually changing up our format a little bit. We're actually giving you more nuggetized interviews. So we have a part 1 and part 2 with Kristina, as well as the news. So we're going to give you some commute time podcasting as opposed to the long form. I mean, how in the world could I ask you to listen to a full hour of me ranting? You know, that's kind of an insult to all the old listeners. I'm just realizing this 10 years into it.
I do it every day.
Yes, you do. Hey, wait a minute.
Wait, oh.
Yeah, you're right. So I should just subject all the audience for that, right? All right. All right, so our first article from Search Engine Journal by Roger Monti. We always love what he's doing over there at Search Engine Journal. Google answers if site sections, parts of the site, can actually impact the overall ranking score of the entire site. So during a particular, John Mueller is a huge, is bigly over at Google, right? So we've had him on the show here before, and we certainly are a huge fan. He answered a question about whether poor ranking factors in one section affected the rankings of the entire site. So the question was by a publisher that has a forum on their site that has a poor Core Web Vitals score, while the rest of the site enjoys a higher Core Web Vitals performance. Very well, you could have 2 different platforms installed on the same host environment, obviously. So what Core Web Vitals are, it's a group of speed and user experience metrics that were rolled out much before they actually showed up in Google Search Console, but they together show a web page, how a web page actually presents, and whether it's a poor user experience or gives visitors an ideal web browsing experience. So his answer was, the question first and foremost was, we have a large site and a section on the site, and we have a forum there. This forum is an old CMS and is difficult to optimize for speed. We're looking to make sure that we have a good Core Web Vitals score before 2021. If we're unable to improve the speed of the forum, this will only affect the keywords that rank for the forum pages, or will it affect the ranks of the pages that aren't on the forum that are actually faster? So John's response real quick, and I'll get Kristina's take, is, so in general, our algorithms try to be as fine-grained as possible. So if we can get granular information from your site and recognize the individual parts of the website property, then we'll try to do that. So he actually shared how Chrome might aggregate Core Web Vitals scores. He shared in a bit of a caveat of that. However, it does actually depend a little bit on your site and how much data we have for your site, especially when it comes to speed, where it will be based, because it's not live yet, or it will be based on Core Web Vitals on the Chrome user experience report data, which is a very small sample of the people who visit your site. So again, to rehash, is that there is a new Chrome aggregate score that as people who use the Google Chrome browser go to that website, they're actually pulling that data directly from those experiences, kind of like a core sampling, no pun intended, of users that are interacting with the website. All right, long dissertation here. Kristina, what are your thoughts about Core Web Vitals? And on top of that, different CMSs on one system and how it could play into ranking?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, well, first of all, again, this is not live yet, so all my thoughts are not they don't have the real experience under it, because this whole report is not live as of now. And I mean, it's live in Google Search Console, but the way how Google is going to interpret it and have everything aggregated is not live yet. So when I think in general, when I think about Web Vitals, when I think about speed, I first of all think not about SEO, which is weird because I'm an SEO, but it's not done for SEO per se, right? It's done for users. So I would think that for this particular website, if your website is amazing, great, but your forum is really hard to read and hard to reach from a mobile phone, maybe you should think about migrating it or to changing something, not for the sake of being compliant with Core Web Vitals, but just for the sake of your users coming to you and having really good time on your forum, right? Yeah. That is the main point. So I like that Google is pushing it all the time. It has been pushing mobile first indexing for a long time, and I know that many businesses, they just won't start thinking about something which is good for user experience unless Google pushes them. Right. So it's a good thing to do. But again, I would think about your users first. And if you know, and in this particular case, if this guy is asking question, he knows that his forum is really slow, right? I would change it. You can migrate to something else, right? Absolutely. But in general, having different content management systems is okay. You can have a store in Shopify and your blog on WordPress. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you are using multiple content management systems, your website is going to be slow. It's okay to use them for different kinds of content. You really should pay for it. And isn't it something that, as SEOs, we always look at what affects our rankings first, as opposed to really looking at the user experience as the top priority? Because regardless of whether you rank, right, if you give somebody a terrible experience, navigation-wise or speed-wise, the impact of that goes a good deal further in lack of that user ever coming back to the website, whether or not they see another keyword that you're ranking on as well. So that first touch, that first impact to the user as they're browsing the website has a lot to do with all the other possible ways they could find you, because they're kind of burnt. They're kind of chafed by the experience that they had there, right? Yeah, exactly. And it may not be only about speed, but it's also about, different pop-ups coming into your face. As long as you open the website, it's terrible. Yeah. And exactly. Just think about that. You spend lots of money for attracting customers to your website, to attracting users to your website. And if your website, your pages don't convert, they are having bad user experience, it means that part of your money is just wasted, because you attract people, but you can't convert them. Absolutely, absolutely. So I highly suggest if you have old platforms, migrate them, and those are challenges. And obviously, with and you are an e-commerce SEO expert, so you have seen regularly different e-commerce platforms embedded with different content management platforms. And I mean, some e-commerce are notoriously poor vehicles from a user experience. Not many anymore, because we certainly have much better tools to be able to use. But if somebody's rolling through an old Magento or Xcart application, right? It's high time that you stop trying to milk what you can do out and get out of that from an SEO standpoint and rebuild the bloody thing. Because now, again,
Hey, there's new. I'm talking about the old versions, right? Ramp it up, update it, and if you can't get what you need out of it from user experience, migrate that data to something better.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're using Magenta 1. It's not supported anymore.
No, it's not. No, get away very, very quickly. Yeah, you better believe it. All right, so talking about bad user experience, our next article over at Search Engine Roundtable by the notorious Barry Schwartz. We got to give him some sort of acronym. We got to do that. All right, so Google political ads policy is to restrict ads after Election Day and claim results here. So Google posted that it'll change its political ad policy to restrict ads throughout after Election Day and ads that claim outcomes to the elections themselves. So this is going to be done because of how many mail-in ballots are expected and that the final election results will potentially not be known for a week or so. If I'm a betting person, I'm sure that we're going to be going beyond a week here after Election Day. Google wrote, given the unprecedented amount of votes that will likely be counted after the Election Day on November 3rd, 2020, we'll implement a sensitive events policy under our inappropriate content policy as polls close on Election Day. Based on this policy, we will restrict content which references the candidates, the U.S. elections, or any outcomes. This not only applies to Google ads in the search, but also shopping ads and more. Google said shopping ads that are marketed around the U.S. elections, the candidates, or its outcome will be disapproved. Shopping ad policies prohibit the promotion and monetization of products that capitalize on sensitive events. Non-compliant shopping ads will be enforced for sensitive events policy violation. Highly recommend that. You certainly don't want to skew the results, especially in this particular election. But that should be a resounding, regular policy in effect, and really it should have been for every election that we've had. The marketing is marketing, right? And to be able to have ads still running that could actually even give you false claims, why wouldn't that be part of policy? In itself. And Jacob wants to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say, can we implement this now?
Yeah, you can't. We just shut him down. Good.
I'd be all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I just saw another political ad came up on my screen. It switched over, and they know where I am, and it's in my precinct. That's good. It's great stuff. Yeah, but don't run it after the election. And Kristina, you're in Canada, and I gotta admit, you're probably going to get some popcorn just to watch us all fall over each other on November 3rd, right?
Honestly, so yeah, I'm in Canada, but I'm originally from Belarus.
Oh, cool.
And if you've heard about what's going on in Belarus after the elections and what's going on right now, so the elections were on August 9th. And what is happening right now there is terrible. And I know, I read a lot of English sources, because I was interested how it's presented in the English sources. Is it presented as real, or is the image right or not? And the image is mostly right. And I see that many people are comparing to the elections to the coming elections in the USA.
Right.
They think that it's a lot different because Belarusians had their president for 26 years, and that's the only president.
Right.
So for me, when I was following a lot, and I'm still following a lot the political situation, I realized that, oh my God, it's all marketing, and it's horrifying how different aspects, how the angles at which everything is portrayed influence people's perceptions and influence how people react and vote for the candidates. And for me, I don't understand why political ads used to be allowed or are now going on in the first place. It has now been the case in Belarus. But for me, it's just really something is wrong. It shouldn't be like that, because it's too easy to influence people, and whoever has more money can influence them easier.
And the platforms are certainly making money. I mean, Facebook itself is getting $2 billion with a B dollars in revenue off of political ads only. That's a huge amount for our company.
Exactly. So instead of saying at some point saying, oh, you know what, we don't want this to influence people. We want this, to be right. You need to do right from the beginning. Like you really don't need to have these ads at all.
No. And the argument made by these platforms that they don't affect political perspective is abhorrent. It's patently false. Is that there's a clickbait environment here. Society, by and large, are believing what they see online. And on top of it, it's an echo chamber, is that you're seeing what you believe political in your political beliefs. It's all an affirmation. It's a constant reinforcing agent to keep you on these platforms. And I got to tip my hat to the Social Dilemma movie that's on Netflix, because it is an incredible it does an incredible job painting the space where we are in, that these platforms are built to be able to reinforce and keep us there. And highly recommend it for any parents out in the audience. But you're absolutely right. We honestly shouldn't have ever been in a space where we have digital marketing moving political perspectives. But I mean, that's how people are consuming their content, consuming awareness of different beliefs and different policies. So you just can't keep a system that is what do you want to say, motivated exclusively, I shouldn't say exclusively, primarily by profit, right? To be the conveyor of political propaganda, because they're going to go where the bucks are. Did I say that out loud? I did, didn't I? All right. Well, yes. That's really interesting information, Kristina, from your experiences. I'm sorry to see that there's still turmoil there, but is it getting any better in Belarus?
I would say no.
Oh man. Well, we wish that country the best, and you certainly gave us some good insight there that we should probably use here more often. So for everybody who's going, we're going to be dropping this news before the election, and certainly pay attention. Make sure that those policies are adhered to as well. If you see something, make sure you say something, because both Facebook, Twitter should also follow in those policies as well. All right, so we do want to make a brief moment talking about our sponsor, our continued sponsor of the show. That's Hrefs' fantastic program to be able to analyze your competitors' organic performance, to be able to see how they're getting their traffic from Google and why. You can see the pages, the content that send them the most traffic, and find the exact keywords that they're ranking for. There's some great tools they have there, especially the Webmasters Tools new tool that they have free of charge out there. So we want to make sure that we put these in the links in the show notes. They've got a fantastic tool they've rolled out here for months, and it's been really widely acclaimed in the space. So go over to ahrefs.com today. Get a great platform. You can actually sign up for the entire platform for $1 a day for 7 days to be able to see what it's all about and how you can analyze your own content, your own software, your own website, as well as your competitors, and see where they're getting their traffic. So with that, we certainly appreciate your indulgence there, Kristina. Now, last but not least, we need to have some trumpets here. Google Analytics 4, people. It's coming. It's here. It's being announced. It was announced today, Wednesday, the 28th of October. Google's vision for the future of analytics. There's a new analytics in play here. It's AI-powered insights, tracks users across devices, very similar to that Starbucks ad, and provides much more granular data controls. So from George Wynn over at over at Marketing Land, you got to have a look at this. It is a fantastic expose on what to expect inside of the new Google Analytics 4. There's AI-powered insights and predictions. Although machine learning insights have been in analytics for a while, the new insights and predictions make their way to Google Analytics 4, can automatically alert marketers to data trends such as surging demand for a particular product they sell or particular areas of content. You can train this on any part or portion of your site. So that's exciting to be able to have Google Analytics actually giving you a shout, along with that deeper audience integration with Google Ads, so you can actually dial it in to be able to see different areas of your website to a much greater degree to understand your audience. But before anything else, Kristina, you've had some great experience just recently with the new Google Analytics 4. What's your take?
Yeah, so I switched some of my websites to Google Analytics 4. I haven't had a lot of time to play with it, but what I realized that it looks completely differently from the current Google Analytics. And it makes me happy and sad at the same time. So as a marketer, I'm really happy because it promises lots of different cool things.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that some events, like really some general events like scrolling or outbound link clicks,
Mm-hmm.
they are tracked by default, or they can be they migrated from my current installation
Mm-hmm.
as well. So that's awesome.
Cool.
But you will need to configure custom events, like for example, button clicks, or like form submissions. You will need to configure them separately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I really love this experience, but at the same time, as a person, I'm freaking out because I'm honest here, right?
Yeah, go for it.
So I know Google Analytics, universal Google Analytics. I can work there with my eyes closed.
Yeah.
I know exactly where everything is, and I've done so many things, so many like tracking things with Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager that I can't even count. So having something completely different and new is scary, because it means that, okay, so what's next when Universal Analytics is sunsetted? What's going to happen? So I'll need to learn a new platform, and I'm really good at it. I learned Google Search Console from scratch, new Google Search Console,
Sure.
Google Ads. So that's fine. But in general, like any person, I'm a little bit cautious with different changes, and also with pro GA4 with this new property in Google Analytics. I'm curious, what are the next steps? I mean, when we had just regular Google Analytics and then Universal Analytics was rolled out, I think it was like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Something. It was a long ago. I remember having even 2 years ago, I saw a website with old Google Analytics code. Not Universal, but the old Google Analytics code.
For shame.
So I'm wondering
Yep.
how much time it will take for people to switch to the new GA4 property, because it requires installation of a new code. And in order to switch to it, you should have reasons for that. And if Universal Analytics works for you perfectly, you have everything configured there, why would you need to migrate to GA4?
Right.
That's the question, especially if you only have a website, because if you have an app and the website, GA4 might be a very good solution.
Because it's new and shiny. And I mean, come on. But I mean, that's some cool stuff in there. They got some codeless event tracking in there as well. I mean, you gotta love that. But all things being equal, you should be rolling with Google Tag Manager on your website. You should have analytics integrated there. You should have Google Search Console integrated in your analytics. There's a number of things that, and we're going to talk about some of the things that in your interview of steps that you should regularly have as an SEO. If you're not ready for the conversion over to GA4, if you have a lot of customization in your events or saved reports, hopefully they're going to make the transition, but you're going to have to be prepared for rebuilding some of this as well. but it really looks cool, and especially with alerts. And I mean, when anybody viciously rearranges my environment, there is that moment of just sadly weeping, because I know the work that's going to happen here over the next 2 weeks, just trying to organize everything back together again, right?
And when I say like, why would somebody want to switch there if there are no exact reasons for that? I mean, businesses more versus like marketers. I jumped on GA4 right when I saw that it was rolled out, because I was curious like what's going on there, and I switched a few of my websites to this platform, and then I'll just play with it when I have time. But when it comes to businesses, they need to link it to their business goals, right? And if everything is working perfectly with the current Google Universal Google Analytics installation, then I don't know. It will be hard to prove that they would need to
leave it alone,
unless then like Google is sunsetting Universal Analytics.
No,
but I don't think that is going to happen. No.
From the adoption rate you were just talking about.
Google, I'm not suggesting it. So.
You just had a silent scream of SEOs around the planet there. All right, so that's it for the Edge news this week. Thank you so much. I appreciate your input there, Kristina. Be sure to check out the full interview with Kristina Azarenko. Linked to this podcast. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel whenever we roll out our videos. And trust me, you're going to like what you're seeing. You're going to be seeing a heck of a lot of quick videos, quick takes from our subject matter experts on our YouTube channel. So pay attention there. It's pretty cool. From all of us over at The Edge, stay safe, stay well, and do not be a piece of cyber driftwood. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.